Hello everybody, I hope that you're all well on this Wednesday lunchtime. I don't know about you, but it's very grey here, not at all like the spring that I was expecting this week as the children are back at school, but there we go. It's a good time to be sat indoors doing a Facebook Live. So I'm here today to answer your questions on email, anything really from email marketing to email management to email and how it's affected by GDPR. So if you're here and you're able to join me live, then please do pop a comment in to let me know you're here, say hi and ask any questions that you've got. There are a few people that I know weren't able to join the live today that have sent me over a few questions that they'd like me to answer, so I will get started with those. Hi Claire, lovely to see you here today. Hope that you're well today. If I get started perhaps with the first question that I've had and answer that, and then if you have any questions, Claire, please put them in the comments, and anybody else that joins us, please do the same. So the first question I've been asked is, in the light of GDPR, who are the best and compliant for GDPR email providers? And that's quite a difficult question to answer really, because there's lots of different ways of getting email accounts. You can get them through Microsoft Office 365 as Exchange accounts. You can get them through a hosting provider, or you can get them through Google and G Suite. And there are others as well. There are free accounts such as Hotmail accounts, iCloud accounts, Outlook accounts. So the first thing that I'd say about making sure that you have a compliant account is to have a business related email account. So not to be using something like Hotmail, Gmail, iCloud, Outlook Live, all of those ones. It's highly unlikely that they will be compliant because they are aimed at personal customers. So something that links to the domain for your business, such as mine is sarah@banksbusinesssolutions.co.uk. If you don't have a domain for your business, you can purchase a domain quite cheaply from a domain provider and then link that through to a compliant email system. Now, Microsoft Office 365 have done a lot of work in terms of compliance. So their Microsoft Exchange emails are a really good option for you. Google and their G Suite accounts seem to be compliant, and some of the hosting providers are providing compliant email accounts as well. So I hope that that helps with a little bit of advice about GDPR compliant email providers, but please check with your host if they are compliant if you choose to go down the hosting route. Another question that I've been asked is, can I provide some top tips on best practices for email? We all know what it's like when you feel like your email inbox is completely out of control and you cannot see the wood for the trees with it. So some of my top tips are: use folders. Folders are your friend. You can set up folders that are for action, to read, for information, and move emails out of your inbox into those folders. But when you do that, make sure that you set yourself a task in whatever task management system you're using, even if that's just a piece of paper, to deal with that email. That way you can keep your inbox as clear as possible. Only check your emails 2 to 3 times a day. I know there is this huge temptation to be permanently on email and picking things up as soon as they ping in and answering them straight away. You'll find that that isn't actually as productive as going in 2 or 3 times a day and really focusing on the emails. Now, when you get to do that, you sit down and you write, this is my focused email management time. Go through each email one by one, scan it, and decide if it can be dealt with within a couple of minutes or if it needs further action. If it's something that you just need to read and file away, do it there and then. Don't leave it till later on. If you need to action it and it's a quick action, again, do it there and then. If you need to schedule time into action that email, then put it onto your task management system, move the email into your to action folder, and again, you've got it out of your inbox. So I hope that those tips kind of help a little bit with that. The other thing to say on that is, I know people get a little bit nervous about only checking their emails a couple of times a day. So use an autoresponder that makes it really clear to people when they do email you that they aren't going to get an instant reply and that you'll reply within a set period of time. And if you want to, let them know that you check your emails at 9:30, 12:30 and 3:30, for example. People don't mind how quickly you respond as long as they get an idea of when they can expect you to respond. So one of the other questions that I've been asked is around customer databases and where you should be storing data for email databases. Now, again, you need to be looking at GDPR with this and making sure that you are compliant with wherever you choose to store your email database. If that database is purely contact details of people that you're regularly emailing and regular clients, then storing it in the contacts of your email system is probably the best place. If those emails are for marketing purposes, you need to make sure that you have consent to be marketing to people. And then I would advise either having a GDPR compliant CRM system or a GDPR compliant email marketing system where you keep those emails stored. Whatever you do, make sure that your privacy policy is really clear on where you're storing people's data and that you have one of the legal bases for having that data, whether that be through having a contract with somebody, through their consent, legitimate interest, or something else. Just make sure that you're holding that data in a GDPR compliant manner. Quite a few the questions I've had pre-submitted do relate to GDPR and emails, so I don't want to kind of make this Q&A all about GDPR, but in the absence of any other questions about email, then I think the focus is probably going to be around GDPR quite a bit today as well. Another question I was asked is, I have an email marketing list, do I need to re-opt people in? It is advisable to do this because you cannot be certain that the original consent you gained for that list was compliant. GDPR requires much more granular and obvious consent from people. So saying to somebody, well, I might add you to my mailing list, isn't considered enough now. You need to say, I'm adding you to my mailing list to send you a newsletter which will include the following things: hints and tips, marketing information, whatever you're going to put in. And people need to be able to consent to the different types of information that you're sending them, and also understand where you're holding their data, who that data may be shared with, and who has access to it, and also how they can request a copy of their data or how they can unsubscribe from your list. So I would strongly advise people to be re-opted in mailing lists ahead of GDPR. Depending on the system that you use, there are fairly simple ways to do that. Another question that I've been asked from somebody, which relates again to privacy policies and GDPR, as I'm sure that you're aware, when you do start processing data for somebody, they do need to agree to your privacy policy so they know what you're going to do with their data, and it needs to be transparent. A lot of confusion is coming in terms of when people are sent data via email directly from somebody rather than through, say, a contact form where it's really easy to add in your privacy policy in a tick box, what they do. Now, I think we have to be sensible here. Post GDPR, we are all going to be getting emails coming through that haven't come through one of our official channels. And my interpretation, and this is very much my interpretation, it isn't necessarily what's going to be law, but my interpretation of this is that provided you're sending out either an autoresponder or in the footer of your email when you respond to that email, you let people know what your privacy policy is and what you plan to do with their data and give them the option to opt out and have their data removed, that should be sufficient. As I said, I can't give definite legal advice on that, but that is my thinking on the matter. So I've had a few other questions as well around email marketing. One person's asked me, how do you check the results of an email campaign? Now, this will depend on the system that you're using, but they should all have some sort of reporting or statistics feature. So go into the email marketing software that you use and check out if there is something called reports or stats in there, and that should be able to give you a breakdown. I spend a lot of time in MailChimp, and they've got a really good section on reports, and it will tell you who's opened your email, what they've clicked through to, and you get lots and lots of information from that, which helps you identify whether that email campaign was a good one or not. I've also been asked how long an email with a targeted message should be. So again, you really want your email marketing emails to be short, to the point, with a nice catchy headline so that people get it and want to open it, but something that can be read within a couple of minutes, because people don't have hours and hours and hours to sit and read through your really, really long newsletter that's telling them everything you've been up to. Using links is a really good thing. So if you want to share some different blogs and things, putting some links in that they can go to if they want to, means that they're not getting this really, really long message that they need to read and probably won't read and won't engage with. Hi Alison, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, Alison, about emails or GDPR, some of the questions I've had pre-sent in relate to GDPR and email marketing, then please do pop them into the comments for me. So the last question that I've had pre-submitted was GDPR and what do I need to know with regards to emails. And I think I've probably covered a fair bit of that. But I guess the other thing that I really want to say about that is in terms of what you're sending in your emails. Now, I don't tend to send personal data via email, so I would be sharing a database of names and email addresses, for example, via email. If you do that regularly, then you need to consider how you're sending that post GDPR. So you either need to be encrypting the emails or having some sort of security on the actual document with that list in it. So whether that's some sort of password, that you have sent the password via a different system to the person receiving the email. But looking at the safest and securest way, just sending that data in an email with no security on it at all isn't secure and safe enough under GDPR. And actually I would say isn't secure and safe enough anyway. So looking at different ways of using email. In terms of general everyday emails, I think that the emails that most of us will be sending don't need to be encrypted, and encryption can add an extra layer of complication to emails, and you really don't want to be complicating things for the person receiving your email. So take a sensible approach. As I've said at the start of the call, make sure that your email provider is GDPR compliant and really think about what you're sending by email to people. And so I hope that will have answered that question when people check back on this video later. I'm just wondering if anybody does have any other questions. I know we're all probably quite busy, especially with either having children off school this week, for those that's children are back, or having just got back into being back at work after the school holidays. So I don't want to keep people for too long today. But if there aren't any more questions, then I'm happy to kind of go now, and feel free to post any comments later on today about any of the questions that I've answered, or anything else that kind of comes up that you think, yep, I really need to know this about email, or I really need this help with my email or advice with it. I'm more than happy to come back on here later today and have a look at any of the comments that have come in. So I'm going to say bye for now, and not keep people too long. Let everyone go and get some lunch. I hope you people are taking a lunch break. As I said, the comments will be open on this, so please pop in and comment, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.